Thank you very much. 7:24 right now. For decades, the U.S. led the way in education throughout the world, but our next guest says he's an award-winning teacher and he has observed students all around the world, and he says our kids are falling behind the rest of the world and the gap is growing at a much faster rate than we can imagine. Keith Ballard joining us live this morning. Keith, good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
So first of all, I want to get into your background a little bit. You're a teacher. Where did you get your start? How long have you been teaching, and how did you get into what you're doing now?
Well, I was a pharmaceutical salesman for 4 years before I became a teacher. I was the 2003 Milwaukee United States National Educator of the Year, and I currently teach down at a public school down by about a mile and a half from Tijuana, Mexico in the San Diego area.
I would imagine that that's an area where there are probably some special challenges as a teacher. English is a second language, things like that.
Well, not only that, but and I teach predominantly Latinos, and we have nationwide, we have about a 50% dropout. I wouldn't even call this epidemic. This is pandemic. This is pandemic. And by the way, it's getting bigger.
Nationwide, 50% dropout.
Nationwide, it's pretty bad.
So you went around the world. Went to China, most notably, a lot of other places. You took a video camera, and you just went and observed schools. What did you see in the students and in the schools compared to here in the U.S.?
Well, this is the way I put it in perspective for Americans, because they understand football. The Chinese public educational system is so good, it's something like the NFL, the National Football League. Gotta say, sorry to say, we're playing no better than high school football. And some of the reasons why, in China they're doing 230 days versus our 180 or 175. By the way, if this governor's tax initiative doesn't go through, we're looking at cutting 3 weeks. And this isn't, this is reality. This is what's going to happen. I just got a notice a week ago. This is what's going to happen in my district. They do school about 3.5 hours more per day. Their curriculum's based in math and science, a lot of rigor. And, in the 22 schools that I was in, never once met an unruly student, never once saw a discipline problem. So here's what it's going to look like at the end. By age 18, a typical Chinese student will be 6 years ahead in terms of if you go by California school time. And by the way, that's a conservative estimate. That's huge.
Now, let me ask you this, because I remember myself, when I was in school, and I don't want to go to school, I don't like doing homework.
Sure.
Is the attitude of students around the world different than here in the U.S.? Are they more enthusiastic about school?
It is. See, they're hungry there, and they want what we have. They're willing to eat our lunch, our dinner, take your kids' jobs, and your kids' grandkids, and that's the attitude. And when you see it in China, I mean, it's unbelievable. And by the way, we have 54 million kids in our K through 12 system. They've got 220 million. So
are we just lazy? Is that what it is?
We are. We're lazy. And we don't seem to understand. We're the only country in the world that doesn't seem to understand that we're in competition with the best minds and the intellectual talent of the rest of the world. I mean, how crazy can that be? It's like we're a nation losing traction. And we all know what happens when a car loses traction. It digs in, digs in. So you know what? We have to make education here fundamental number one. This is a knowledge-based economy.
We're running short of time, so I want to get to this. What do we do to fix this? And more specifically, because I know we can invest more in education, but what does the parent sitting at home right now do to help their child?
Well, one of the great crises here is parenting. And real quick, typically Chinese parents spend about 10 times more time per day with their kids academically. So I'm going to tell you this for every parent out there: if you truly love your kids, you're going to push your kids relentlessly, tough love, A's and B's, and no less than A's if you want them to be able to compete and have a good life for those high-paid, high-tech, high-skilled jobs. It averages over. Average is over. I mean, it's done. There's too much above average talent in this world now, and they're doing it for less money. So we got to do better here.
So you went to these schools, you shot a bunch of video, it's all documented, it's on YouTube. How can people see it?
Go to my YouTube channel, Keith Ballard 1, all one word with the number 1, Keith Ballard 1. It'll wake you up.
All right, Keith Ballard, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, time now is 7:28. Coming up, a cry for help. A viewer calls our tip line. A viewer says...